United States and around the world. This is Madu Ajaja, the convener of Open Nigeria, CEO of ONN, and the anchor of Nigeria Now at ONN, and the Nightingale Radio International. How are you doing? Yes. Um, so much is taking place around the world. Nigeria at the center stage of a lot of issues. So join us today as we talk about the reason I created the ONN. Yes, the reason I created ONN. The media in Nigeria, the mainstream media in Nigeria is doing everything but bring the truth to the people of Nigeria the way they ought to. Yes, but before I proceed, I'm going to play this speech by brother Julius Malema, a great activist, freedom fighter, and the president of the EFF in South Africa, where I lived for 2 years. When I was living in South Africa, yes, I was hearing about Malema, but I wasn't able to meet him in person before I left in 1996. But this young man has proven to be a real Pan-Africanist. Yes, one of the very few that exist for the good of Africa. Sadly, he is not accorded the right respect that he deserves in South Africa, because the same chain holding Nigeria is somehow holding South Africa. We want to do things to appease the descendants of our oppressors who are not willing to yield the ground. Yes, because they have this legacy of holding Africa down, exploiting Africa, and keeping Africa poor. Yes, somehow, I don't know if it was an accident or a mistake that they invited them to speak in Nigeria. So before anything, I want you listeners, viewers from Nigeria, across Africa, here in the United States, and around the world, to listen to Julius Malema. Listen to his keynote address in an invitation extended to him by the Nigerian Bar Association. Yeah, another association in Nigeria. So, ladies and gentlemen, Julius Malema for you. I'm going to interject as the need arises, to set some records straight, and applaud him for the great speech. I have listened to it, but I'm not going to, let anything out. So we're going to watch this together, and then I will come in and say what I have to say about it. Enjoy it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let me take this opportunity to greet the governor of Enugu, to greet the Sultan of Sokoto. Let me greet the president of Nigeria Bar Association. We are here because of your capable leadership, and we are happy that we are home here in Nigeria. The leadership collective of the Nigerian Bar Association, who have honored me with an invitation to this esteemed occasion. I greet you all. I further greet all members of the Nigerian Bar Association who are present here today, representing the legal fraternity of this great country, which remains a friend and ally of South Africa and her people.
I have never seen someone between the ages of 50 and 60 with such beautiful hair. It turns out that since she started getting gray hair, she has been using this product.
I'm humbled that you saw it fit to invite me to give an address to annual general conference, and by extension, that you saw it necessary to invite the EFF to give this keynote address.
Yes.
I imagine it was not an easy for a group of members of the law profession to reach consensus on who will address them. Because your profession by nature is one of robust debate and contestation. So I understand here today. I stand here today proud because I know I'm a product of a robust debate and agreement by people who find it difficult to agree amongst themselves.
Hey, Dr. how are you? How are you doing?
The link between the legal profession and
yes.
the cause for liberation
we are listening to Julius Malema, the great Pan-Africanist from South Africa.
Who are instruments of justice.
Yes.
While we wage our battle for freedom in the picket lines, through activism, protest, and participation in governance.
Thank you. Let us watch it and enjoy it, and we'll talk about it.
Who interpret the laws we make, who practice the justice we seek to achieve, and who fight tirelessly for those who cannot defend themselves in the courts of law. It is a profession characterized by sacrifice, intellect, and a commitment to interpretation of the past in order to achieve justice, fairness, and victory in the present and future. For the activists, we have a history and dialectical materialism to guide us into leading society towards a better tomorrow. And for the legal profession, you have indigenous law, common law, case law, the constitution, and statutes, an objective reality to achieve not only personal victory, but to establish collectively laws that will govern others for decades to come. Our duty, however, and primary responsibility is not to maintain laws simply because they exist as they are today. Our duty is not to be instruments of injustice and neo-colonialism.
Yeah.
It is to be agents of change, and this demands of us to be brave enough to identify unjust laws, speak out, and form part of those that work tirelessly for our judiciary to be of service to our people.
Absolutely.
I say this not to encourage anarchy or lawlessness, but to draw us back to the difficult truth and reality that at times the laws has been used as a weapon of oppression.
Absolutely. Nigeria, case in point.
Activists to walk side by side, hand in hand, to stand up against laws that perpetuate the undermining of the dignity of the people.
Yes.
And we must all be alive.
Nigeria.
To this history and this.
I think they made a wrong choice inviting fire to speak to them.
Africans.
Yes.
Because for centuries, our very existence has been unlawful in the eyes of the oppressor. Our indigenous laws have been treated as inferior to Roman Dutch law or English law.
Sad.
Be an African has meant that
we are Africans, we are not Europeans.
We are not worthy of the laws and the rights.
So why should we be governed by European laws?
And for that reason, it was legal to abuse us, to enslave us, to steal our mineral wealth and oil, and to destroy and kill our heritage, history, and even our lives.
Sad.
The legal profession you belong to, the political system we belong to, the judiciary and parliaments were created without us in mind. They were crafted at our exclusion and built to sustain our suffering. We now sit in the corridors which were built to break the back and the soul of African people.
Yes.
The demand then from those who died at the hands of this institution that we now serve is that we transform them so that they become instruments of the people. The demand from history is that we make being an African legal practitioner, that we make being African politician and activist and African in general something to be proud of, and that we make being an African a sign of life and prosperity. Therefore,
Please like, share this stream. We will appreciate that. Thank you very much, and subscribe too.
We are here to make our profession serve the African child. I wish to remind you that it was once legal to come to the shores of our great continent and kidnap Africans and enslave us in foreign lands. It was once legal to rape African women and children because they did not have the right to dignity of their European oppressors. It was once legal to take our land and our minerals because, according to the law of the white man, we were not civilized enough to control our own land and our own wealth. In South Africa, our freedom, our oppression, our resistance all had law at the center of it. Under apartheid, it was legal to restrict the movement of Africans to labor reserves called townships and to teach us inferior education so that we could only be servants of white masters. All of those problems were legal, and it took brave men and women to say that if the oppression of Africans is lawful, then such a law is unjust and must be opposed. Today, as our continent is troubled by corruption, leaders who utilize state machinery to sustain their rule at the expense of the poor.
I wonder what Tinubu will be feeling now.
In abject poverty. A question we all ought to ask ourselves is whether the time for the legal profession and the activists to once again stand up for what is right. We must all ask ourselves whether the time has not once again arrived for liberation to be achieved against the sale of our nation to recolonization, and whether this fight must not begin by reimagining our laws for the better. We must therefore reach into this deep history of resistance and solidarity which is shared by our two nations in order to achieve the goal of restoring the humanity of Africa and her people. My brothers and sisters, the humanity of Africa is at the center of what the EFF stands for. We are an organization that was formed in 2013 purely out of the demands of the people of South Africa who wanted an alternative to the former liberation movement to achieve economic freedom in our lifetime. We are an organization which is born out of the blood of slain mine workers in an area known as Marikana, where 34 miners were shot down execution style, and the 13th anniversary of their execution was this month on the 16th of August 2025. Yet the families have not seen any justice. No one has answered for this grave injustice. It is out of this deep pain and disregard for African life that workers, miners, gardeners, petrol attendants, street dwellers, university students, professionals, and all people of South Africa demanded that we form the economic freedom. We were formed to complete the liberation struggle, which was faced by compromised, betrayal, and corruption of the mission for the return of the land of South Africa to the hands of the people. As a result, we base our struggle on these lived realities, and we are guided by scientific ideological outlook of Marxism-Leninism and the teachings of Frantz Fanon. In the context of Africa becomes most important as we faced with a continent that is becoming more and more dependent on the former colonial master, and our movement abandoned the struggle which led to the formation in favor of life of opulence while the people suffer. We are Marxist because we believe in the inherent need of an alternative economic system to capitalism, and we use the science of dialectics to wage our struggle for liberation. We are Leninist because we believe in the need for a vanguard party of the people to lead the struggle, one which believes in internal democracy and the waging of struggle in parliament, the judiciary, and at the grassroots level. We are anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist, anti-racist, anti-sexist organization which believes in democracy and socialism as a means of uplifting ordinary masses of our people. At the foundation of the EFF are what we refer to as the 7 non-negotiable cardinal pillars which are expropriation of South Africa's land without compensation for equal distribution in use, nationalization of mines, banks, and other strategic sectors of the economy without compensation, building state and government capacity, which will lead to abolishment of tenders, free decolonized education, healthcare, houses, and sanitation, massive protected industrial development to create millions of sustainable jobs, including introduction of minimum wages in order to close the wage gap between the rich and the poor, massive development of African economy, and advocating for a move from reconciliation to justice in the entire continent. Open, accountable, corrupt-free government, and society without fear of victimization by state agencies.
Yes.
These are briefly the guiding principles which make us, as the EFF, a revolutionary movement. Yes. Compatriots, the need to do away with the injustice of the past demand that we create laws for the future. Because independence does not automatically mean that infrastructure of our legal system itself becomes independent. Our duty as lawmakers, as practitioners post-independence, demands of us to scrutinize existing laws and where necessary make amendments or even introduce new laws to liberate our people from the parasitic oppression that they are exposed to. The EFF, which has been in Parliament of South Africa since 2014, is engaged in this practice and we have been able to implement our vision, mission, and identity into our approach to governance and lawmaking. A few examples of how we have interpreted what needs to change at the level of governance and legislation in South Africa to enhance the cause for liberation is the introductions of the bills that were put before Parliament. The nationalization of the Reserve Bank Bill, which seeks to place full control of South Africa's Reserve Bank, particularly monetary policy, in the hands of the state. Further to this bill introduced by the EFF in Parliament seeks to broaden the mandate of the Reserve Bank in South Africa, which currently has private shareholding, towards alleviating unemployment and capping economic stagnation, which is due to the Reserve Bank conservative and financial sector-oriented policy outlook. The Public Finance Management Amendment Bill will in South Africa deal with the problem facing the whole continent, and that is the unregulated borrowing of the money by our government from the World Bank.
Same thing all over Africa.
International Monetary Fund.
They are borrowing when they have 45% of the Earth's resources.
That National Treasury in South Africa first seek approval from Parliament to source foreign loans and establish transparency regarding such loans and their conditionalities. The debt trap of Africa to our foreign colonizers must be stopped, and that begins by regulating these loans that our leaders commit future generations to, because they will not be there when the colonizers come to collect. The Student Debt Cancellation Bill is a
Nigerian youth.
legislation introduced by
They don't listen to this type of message.
Of young students who cannot access
Yes.
their qualification, seek employment using their qualification, or pursue postgraduate studies because their qualifications are withheld due to debt. Student debt is an obstacle to the youth who have no source of income because they cannot access their degrees, and equally cannot generate a source of income because they cannot prove that they are qualified due to their qualification being withheld. The need to unlock this qualification possesses a major opportunity to grow our expertise in our country and promote education to be at the center of our developmental objective. Insourcing Bill seeks to do away with the exploitation of labor brokers and consultancy firms which are draining the public finance of government in South Africa. In our country, the most basic of service which ought to be conducted through internal capacity are done on contractual basis and at inflated prices. The policy of outsourcing is at the center of corruption as politicians establish companies to provide services such as cleaning,
Same
security
thing,
services,
same story,
accounting services,
same
maintenance
philosophy.
services, and
Terrible,
many more to
exploitative,
government at a
corrupt,
ridiculous
yes,
rate.
morally
How can you
bankrupt
issue a tender
policies
to buy
put together by
toilet paper?
Africans
How
to
come
hurt
Director
their
General
continent
doesn't know where the
and
toilet
its
papers
people?
are being sold and go and buy the toilet papers himself instead of issuing out a tender? That is unnecessary. There are certain things that can be done by the government without involving the outside players. We don't want alcohol advertised in South Africa because they advertise alcohol through the means that is not a true reflection of alcohol. Why are you not advertising alcohol with drunkards and show people what alcohol will do to them? It cannot be that alcohol is advertised only with beautiful people at the beach. It must be a true reflection of what this will do to you. We have done the same before by banning the advertisement of cigarette in South Africa, and what is to follow is alcohol. The EFF is also engaged in many other programs that seeks to empower our own communities and make sure that there is local procurement. Why should a prison in Enugu should go and buy vegetables in Lagos? They must buy where they are to promote local economy and to promote
Absolutely.
their own economic growth.
Absolutely.
We cannot allow a situation
Corruption
where
in Africa.
people who do not come from where we come from are actually not benefiting from what their government can provide. Compatriots, I must reiterate once again that it is a deep honor to stand before you today in Nigeria, in Enugu State, a country that holds a special place in the hearts of all South Africans who understand history, who value solidarity, who appreciate the sacrifice made by others in the cause of our freedom. Nigeria is not just another African country to us. It is a comrade nation, one that stood firmly by our side during our darkest hour. When South Africa was shackled by apartheid, when our people were murdered, imprisoned, and denied basic humanity, Nigeria rose as a giant for justice, placing South Africa squarely at the center of its foreign policy. Former President Murtala Mohammed famously declared that Africa had come of age, that the continent will no longer tolerate interference from outside powers, and this still rings true today. Nigeria set up the Southern African Relief Fund, mobilizing its citizens to contribute to the liberation struggle. Even as it faced its own challenges at home, these initiatives raised millions of dollars to support the liberation of South Africa. People paid directly from their salaries to contribute to the liberation of the people of South Africa. Nigerian students sacrificed a portion of their income through the Mandela Tax, which supported an educational training program for Black South Africans, and successive Nigerian governments never stopped in their material and moral support for South Africa's liberation. In fact, Nigerian government boycotted the 1976 Olympic Games and the 1979 Commonwealth Games in protest and in opposition to apartheid government. We cannot forget
We lost Nigeria.
who stood by us.
That was Nigeria
during
then.
difficult times.
What we have now is a
Can we
shadow.
forget that when
But we'll
Nelson
get it
Mandela
back.
was released from prison in 1990, one of his earliest international visits was to Lagos and Abuja to personally thank the Nigerian people. This gesture are foundation of a bond sealed in blood and sacrifice. However, this history must not remain in the past. This bond between South Africa and Nigeria must be carried forward into the present, not just in political sentiment, but in concrete economic collaboration. Both our nations stand as giants of the continent. South Africa, with its industrial base, mining capacity, and advanced financial system. Nigeria, with its vast population, vibrant entrepreneurial spirit, oil and gas resources, and cultural dynamism that has captured the imagination of the world. Together, we hold the keys to Africa's industrialization and economic independence. Consider what lies beneath our soils. Nigeria is blessed with abundant oil, natural gas, and growing agricultural sector. South Africa holds some of the richest deposits of platinum, gold, manganese, and coal in the world. Combined, we possess the minerals that power modern technology, the energy resources that fuel global industry, and the human capital to build a self-sufficient continent. Yet, both our nation remains trapped in neo-colonial arrangements where our raw materials are extracted cheaply and exported to Europe, America, and Asia, only to be sold back to us at crazy prices as finished goods. This is a cycle of dependency we must break.
Yeah, now is the time.
It's clear. Nigeria and South Africa must industrialize together, build factories together, and process our resources on African soil. Imagine a joint program where South African mining expertise is combined with Nigerian oil wealth to create African-owned energy and resources conglomerate, one that refines, processes, and manufactures for Africa and the world. Imagine agricultural cooperation where Nigeria fertile lands provide food security for the continent, supported by South African machinery, logistics, and technology. Imagine a collaborative investment in renewable energy where South Africa's solar potential and Nigeria gas reserves are harnessed to build an integrated African power grid. Already, we have glimpses of what is possible. South African companies such as MTN, SPAR, ShopRite, and MultiChoice have made significant inroads in Nigeria, creating jobs and bringing services. Nigerian businesses, investors, and cultural industries have equally expanded to South Africa. Nigerian music, filmmakers, writers influence South African culture, just as South African universities and industries provide platforms for Nigerian talent. But this cooperation has been uneven and at times marked by suspicion and the painful experience of xenophobia. Let me be unequivocal here. Xenophobia unity. It is a sickness born of
Gemini exchanging credit card. Download today and get started.
poverty, inequality, and government failure. But its victims are our African brothers and sisters. Nigerians, Zimbabweans, Congolese, and Somalis are not the cause of the South Africa's unemployment crisis. The cause lies in the untransformed economy of South Africa, which remains in the hands of white minority and multinational corporations who continue to exploit labor while refusing to industrialize. Attacking fellow Africans diverts anger from the real enemy, and we must educate our people that unity, not division, is the solution to the African crisis. If we want to end one-way migration, where Nigerians are forced to leave home in search of opportunity in South Africa, we must integrate our economies. Young Nigerian engineers should be able to work in Johannesburg, Gaborone, Windhoek, Harare, Cairo, and Accra, not as foreigners, but as Africans contributing to Africa. South African entrepreneurs should be able to set up in Lagos without suspicion, but with support as partner in the shared future. We must harmonize trade policies, align visa regimes, and build continental infrastructure that connects our people. We actually do not need a visa. We don't need a visa between South Africa and Nigeria. In the same way, we don't need a visa for our people to travel in their own continent. We are one. Both South Africa and Nigeria know the pain of colonialism.
Yes.
Both have faced internal divisions. Both have endured the pressures of global imperialism that seeks to divide and exploit and control us both know that the only path forward is Pan-African solidarity. We must reject the illusion that our salvation will come from Washington, London, Brussels, or Beijing.
It will never come from those places.
In Lagos and Johannesburg, in Abuja and Pretoria, in the hands of Africans who refuse to be divided. Together, Nigeria and South Africa can lead African continent free trade area not as a paper agreement, but as a living reality that changes the lives of ordinary people. Together, we can demand fair trade, protect our industries, and invest in education, technology, innovation. Together, we can prove that Africa is not a begging bowl, but a continent of giants. We must prove to the whole world that we are not xenophobic, we love one another. Black people are not loved in Africa and are not loved outside Africa. We have a duty to love ourselves and show the whole world on how it must treat us. We cannot treat each other badly and expect other people to treat us much better. How you treat your own brother and your own sister, it's how you teach others outside how they must treat you. The unity of our continent is paramount, and we must never associate with any xenophobic agenda that perpetuates the divisions in South Africa. Solidarity.
The fake Sultan of Sokoto is there. I don't know how he's feeling hearing this.
As I close,
yes,
I want to state that as Africans, our fight has never been confined to the borders. From the very beginning, the struggle of South Africa against apartheid, we knew that suffering of one oppressed people anywhere in the world is the suffering of all oppressed people everywhere.
Yes.
It was in that spirit that South Africa, during its liberation struggle, was embraced by Nigeria and other African nations, who declared that apartheid was not simply a South African problem, but an African and global crime. It is in that same spirit that today we say our liberation as Africans will remain incomplete if we turn a blind eye to the struggles of those who continue to suffer under occupation, colonialism, imperialism, and economic exploitation. It is this tradition of solidarity that compels us today to speak clearly on the struggle of other oppressed people. The EFF continues to stand firmly with Western Sahara, Palestine, Cuba, Haiti, the Democratic Republic of Congo as a commitment to international law and justice. In Western Sahara, Morocco's continued occupation violates the principle of the United Nations Charter and the African Union's Constitutive Act, both of which enshrined the right to self-determination. The International Court of Justice affirmed in 1975 that Morocco had no sovereignty over Western Sahara. Yet, decades later, the Sahrawi people remain dispossessed. In Palestine, we are witnessing one of the gravest violations of international law in modern history. The apartheid regime of Israel has for decades defied UN resolutions, the Geneva Conventions, and international humanitarian law. Collective punishment, the bombing of hospitals, the illegal taking of land, the killing of children, and the deliberate starvation of populations are crimes under the Roman Statute of the International Criminal Court. The world cannot remain neutral in the face of genocide. And just as apartheid South Africa was declared a crime against humanity, so too must be the international community recognize and act against Israel's apartheid and genocide. The importance of fighting on the level of the law was made evident in this case when the South African government took Israel to International Court of Justice to report their crimes when no other country will do so. This fight in International Court was won when the court declared that indeed Israel was perpetuating genocide, a win that was necessary to sway some support away from Israel and to embolden other countries to speak out. This fight also led to the International Criminal Court to issue a warrant of arrest for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his Minister of Defense for War Crimes. This is the power of the legal fraternity in the global fight for the oppressed. However, the ICJ pace is slow and final judgment on charging Israel with genocide has not occurred yet. We must therefore confront the uncomfortable truth that the slow pace of these proceedings is not accidental, but reflects a global legal order designed and maintained under white supremacy. International law is swift and ruthless when prosecuting leaders of the global south, yet hesitant and cautious when dealing with crimes committed by Western powers or their allies. This is hypocrisy we must name without fear. When an African leader is accused, indictments are issued overnight, sanctions are imposed immediately, military interventions justified under the banner of international law. However, when Israel starves children in Gaza or the United States and its allies invade nations and topples governments, the same institutions suddenly discover restraint, complicity, and delay. As the legal fraternity of Africa, you cannot accept this double standard. You must be bold enough to create alternative and fair systems of accountability that do not bend to imperialist interests. If the so-called international community is unwilling to deliver justice in real time, then Africa must advance its own courts, its own tribunals, its own instruments of solidarity and protection.
Absolutely.
Just as we build liberation movements when colonialism denied us freedom, so too must we build new legal institutions when the existing ones fail us. In Cuba, for over 60 years, the United States has imposed an economic blockade in contravention of international law, including the principle of non-interference and the sovereign right of nations to choose their social and economic system. Despite this, Cuba has demonstrated a profound commitment to human solidarity, sending doctors across the globe, including to Africa, welcoming Africans into their classrooms and participating in the liberation of the oppressed. Cuba never sent their soldiers anywhere to kill anyone. Instead, they send their doctors all over to go and
Chevy is called the heartbeat of America, like the people who keep Texas moving. For them, only America's most dependable trucks will do it. In every Chevy
life. The tragedy of Haiti is one of historical injustice. Haiti's revolution was first declaration of black freedom in the modern world, yet it was punished with centuries of economic sabotage and enforced debt. Contrary to any principle of justice, today Haiti suffers from foreign interference, the denial of sovereignty, and the imposition of external
What is happening in Haiti is abominable.
Reparation, debt cancellation, and the withdrawal of foreign forces so that Haiti can govern itself in dignity. We have seen DRC not experiencing peace because of its mineral resources. We must stand with DRC and demand that there must be permanent peace in DRC and everywhere else in Africa. Because DRC without peace, it will never experience economic growth. We are because DRC it is. We are the people of Southern Sudan. We must make sure that no single corner of Africa there are guns where Africans are killing each other. Africans must always be together against the enemy forces who want to exploit our country. We are here today to reclaim our land. We want the land of Africa to be returned to Africa because it belongs to the Africans. We want the minerals of Africa to be returned to the Africans because that's where they belong. We want to build industries in Africa and process our minerals here in Africa. We've got the capacity. We must never allow the imperialist forces to divide us in order to take our minerals from us. We demand one Africa We demand borderless Africa. We demand Africa with one president, with one currency, with one military command, with one parliament. Because we know the currency of Africa will be much more stronger against the American currency. We don't care what Trump thinks of us. He will never choose a policy position for Africans. We are not subject of Trump. We must refuse to be subjects of Trump. We must stand together as the world changes and show the world that Africa is one and Africa is equal to all nations, to China, to Russia, to America. We are not just a small nation. We are a big nation. We are not a dark continent. How can we be dark when we've got diamond that is shining amongst us? We are a shining nation. I thank you.
Wow. Wow. That was Julius Malema. Great guy. Great activist. Great freedom fighter from South Africa. Yes. Where I lived for 2 years before I came to the United States. I'm so proud of this guy and a lot of other young South Africans. He has a history at the tip of his fingers. He understands history. He recognizes what Nigeria did, yes, to end apartheid, yes, in South Africa. You see the rendition that he gave, the great account about the relationship then between Nigeria and South Africa. Now the question is, what happened afterwards? Because I know when I lived in South Africa, I lived in Betal. Betal is in Mpumalanga. Yes, I was a nurse at one white only hospital at the time, the first black nurse to work in that place from outside South Africa. And you won't believe the kind of royalty that I was in that little city of Betal. In fact, the first black mayor was my friend. He sought me out, and I was so supportive of him. And he encountered some serious problems, lack of cooperation from the white minority who had had sway for a very long time. They couldn't tolerate, they couldn't believe that a black man was mayor of Betal. And they were giving him hard time. And I kept urging him, I said, Mr. Matlangi, keep on moving. Don't look back. Don't look back. I remember when I used to come out of where I was living, I come into town with some Nigerian dashiki, and they will be coming to touch me to make like, are you here for real? How did you come here? They will ask me a lot of questions. And then remember one very historic thing that happened in 1995 while I was still there, when Cancer Ruwa, was murdered by Ajaja. Yes. How, you see, leadership. You see, when leadership is real, when leadership is true, you feel it. The nation feels it. Yes. Mandela was so pissed off, so angry with Ajaja. You guess what? He now started talking about armed struggle in Nigeria. Yes, South Africans were recruiting. They were ready to come to Nigeria to battle Ajaja. Yes, I remember, a lot of young men came to ask me how they could enlist. They were ready to come to South Africa. And how Mandela, the government of South Africa under Mandela, banned South Africa, stopped, boycotted Shell. Yes. And from there on, 1995, that was when I stopped. I didn't have a car then when I was in South Africa, because for me, it was like I was in a transit, And they boycotted Shell. Shell came on its knee. Nobody was buying petrol from Shell. So all the businesses moved to other companies that had no hand in the spilling of blood in Nigeria. It was electrifying, and I loved it. And since then, when I came here, and I started driving cars. Up to this minute, I don't buy Shell gas. I don't buy petrol from Shell gas station, never. Because every time I see Shell, I see the blood of Nigerians. Every time I see Shell, I remember Sarawiwa, how Ajaja was used to kill him for Shell. Yeah, kill him for the Queen of Dutch. Yes, and that is the thing. That was leadership. Now, what do we have today? What do we have in Nigeria? You know, this thing came timely. And I wonder what the fake Nigerian government, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, if he had the courage to watch this presentation, what would be, with all the Scud missiles Malema released? Yes, yes. And then, funny enough, Saad Abubakar was sitting in there. He heard the message, and he heard him talk about xenophobia. Yes, Africans killing Africans. So the fake Sultan of Sokoto, I'm talking about Saad Abubakar. I hope you took something away from it, and then urgently and immediately withdraw all your Fulani militias that you planted across Nigeria, because this is a direct hit on your conscience. Yes, Hali Mutun say Allah, if you have heart, you see Malema punctured you. I'm talking about Saad. Yes, you came there to listen. What did you think he was going to say? You heard it. You heard him. You heard him talk about hate, self-hate. You heard him talk about xenophobia. Yes. You heard him talk about the urgency for the unification of Africa. But you are masterminding Fulani bigotry, banditry, and terrorism in Nigeria. So I hope you won't have a heart attack, after thinking about this. Or, do right. Call your Fulani brothers. Yes, you Fulani elites. Yes, who are hell-bent on destroying Nigeria without looking at the consequences that will arise if the whole of Nigeria rises against you. And that is where we are headed. Yes, I am telling you, I am happy, so happy that Sultan, whatever, fake Sultan of Sokoto, mystery Sultan, I tell you, jihad in Nigeria will be the most difficult thing. And it's going to consume a lot of people. This is what you people are trying to create in Nigeria. You are not thinking about poor, innocent, and defenseless Fulani children, men and women who have no hand in what you are doing. Rufai, I hope you are hearing. Bala Mohammed, I hope you heard this message. Yes, the trouble you people are fomenting in Nigeria. It is in your best interest to withdraw your militias that you planted in forests across Africa, across Nigeria, from where they are coming out to kidnap, rob, maim, rape our women, and rob our people, and kill defenseless Nigerians, impose taxation here on Nigerians in their soil. Saad, I think you made a mistake. I don't know who invited you there. Or they invited you so that you have an opportunity to hear about a thorough African. It's not. Did you hear him talk about Arabism? Did you hear him talk about European nationalism? Africa is for Africans. Africa is not an Arab nation. If you are a Muslim, you are mad, you are practicing your Islam, practice it the way it's supposed to be practiced. All right? If you are a Christian, you are crazy, practice your Christianity with respect for others. We are talking about Nigeria. We are not talking about Arabs. Our country is not an Arabic country. Yeah, so you want to impose Arabic culture on us. I hope you heard what Malema said. You see, Pan-Africanism is a religion of its own. Religion of the African people with African spirit, driven by an African theology. Yes, love for one another, growth and development. Yes, progress and prosperity for a great continent. You see, he's talking about the unification of Africa. And you are talking about the Fulanization, violent Fulanization of Nigeria. It's not going to happen. Now, I want you are their leader. Bola Ahmed Tinubu says he's looking for the terrorists. sponsors of terrorism. What is it? Christopher Musa says they are going to name them. We have been hearing this in the past 20 years. Since 2009, when this whole thing, we are going to name them. We are going to name them. They never name them. It's not like they don't know who they are. Saad, you are one of them. Yes, you are one of the greatest founders and masterminds of terrorism. So, Christopher Musa, you cannot name them. El Rufai is one of them. You say, are you still looking for names? You want more names? Bala Mohammed is one of them. Yeah, governor of Bauchi State. Are you still looking for the governor of Nasarawa State? Is a part of the game. Yes, under him, Bello Bodejo recruited and trained 4,000 Fulani militia in Nasarawa there. Victor Christopher Musa is still saying that he's looking for them. I don't know what he's looking for. The raw materials are there. So what are you looking for? Why? So who is fooling who? Christopher Musa works for the bandits, the masterminds of banditry and terrorism. That is why they can't win the war. The only time the Nigerian army or the armed forces of Nigeria is organized is when they go to Niger Delta to control, to take over steel oil, or they go to the southeast of Nigeria to massacre the Igbos, like they have been doing, even as we speak this moment. Yes. All right. This was the reason why one of the reasons I created the ONN. See, I was going to state exactly that, but when I saw this presentation by Julius Malema, I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist not bringing it to the fore for Nigerians to see, for the whole world to see it, to amplify it. Nigeria is in shackles, big time shackles, different type of shackles that Nigeria is in. Nigeria, the media in Nigeria is gone, corrupt. I wonder how channels was able to do this. Maybe perhaps they didn't know what he was going to say, because they would have found a way to censor his message so that the oppressors in Nigeria will not be offended. But you cannot, it's like inviting me to speak on any issue about Africa, and you want to control me and tell me what to speak, then there will be no speech. Yes, so I bet that was what happened. Malema is not going to let them tell him what to do. So that's how the situation is. The Nigerian media, Nigeria is faced with a lot of demons, many demons against Nigeria. Those demons we must destroy before we can be on the pathway to rebuilding Nigeria. The demons in Nigeria must be destroyed. There are very many. Let me look for some of them so we can talk about it. The demons in Nigeria. Yeah, one of the demons, the elitist demon. The demon by the elites of Nigeria who will never speak the truth. Yeah, demons like the one that Ngozi Iweala, Okonjo Iweala came to do the other day. When Nigerians are dying, he came and was applauding the economic policy of a killer. Somebody who has killed millions of Nigerians with his fake economic policies. Listen to her.
Madu, Ajaja, convener of Open Nigeria and Africa Unite, reacts to Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala's endorsement of Bola Tinubu's economic policy in Nigeria.
Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala just recently told us to appreciate Bola Ahmed Tinubu for bringing stability to the economy, and that the reforms have been in the right direction, even in the face of the massive debt of our people and the prices of things out of reach for the common man. So I wonder which economic indices she relied on make this sweeping statement, or is one of those elitist things, because she does not understand what a common man on the streets and in various homes who go to sleep on empty stomachs are feeling. I am deeply concerned about what is taking place with Nigerian elites.
That is the Nigerian elites. They will come because they are feeding with their belly full and our people are dying. They will go and support the evil that is killing our people. Whatever, Jack, how are you? Yes, Rastafari. Yes, yeah. So, this is an expose by Brother Julius Malema. This is a country where a police officer who doesn't even know anything, who was not properly trained, he doesn't understand the meaning of rights, basic human rights. He doesn't understand the meaning of the right to citizenship of a country. Yes, there's one young man, the PPRO, Public Relations Officer for the police in Delta State, wrote that the police can search anybody without search warrant, contrary to what is written in the Constitution of Nigeria. And this guy is the image maker for the police in Delta State. Can you imagine this type of embarrassment? Yes, he doesn't even know anything. You know, I interviewed him sometime last in 2023. I had to kick him out of my studio. Yes, when he came there to lie that the Fulani kidnappers who were arrested for kidnapping Ika people at Agbo and handed over to the police were hunters. He said they were hunters. People who kidnap and kill people, he called them hunters. Yes, whose interest was he serving? And this young man doing this is an honorable boy from Delta State. Yes. It's so difficult to comprehend. So what kind of training do people receive? Or he just did it out of impunity. The way police will corner people and then rob them in Nigeria while on uniform. One of the demons in Nigeria is the police. All right? And let me find some more. Then Bola Ahmed Tinubu was calling on Nigerians, including me, to return to Nigeria because the nation is rising again. How can a sinking nation be rising? How is it rising? Honestly, how is this nation rising? Yes, this is the trouble we have. Every time, you know, what we have left in Nigeria. The only thing we have left in Nigeria is to stand up and fight back and retake our country. Nigeria is in a very dangerous coma here, with all of its organs failing. And it requires rescue workers, like doctors and nurses in the hospitals, to rescue Nigeria, do an intubation so the country will not die. This is a country where a criminal, yes, a criminal who was governor of Kogi State, Yahya Bello, hear him, an ex-governor of Kogi State. You want to hear him? He finished his term. He handed over the reins of leadership to his stooge. And the people from Kogi State, sometimes I'll begin to ask whether they are from Nigeria. Yes. What I hear and what I saw when I drove past that state, I couldn't believe. I was wondering, even as bad as Nigeria is, that place was like horrible, desolate, abandoned, run down. Yes, I was wondering. Yeah. In this, what we are going to hear, he was commanding the lawmakers in the state. He's no longer governor. He stole everything in the state. People, the EFCC declared him wanted. It took how many months? Nearly a year before he could stroll out. And then the EFCC chairman who vowed to resign if he did not arrest and prosecute Yahya Bello. He did not resign. So where is the faith? All of Nigeria's strategic institutions have all been compromised. Kayode kept quiet. He couldn't arrest him. He could not be prosecuted for the billions of dollars that he stole from the state. Impunity. And then the young people of Nigeria are watching all this because they believe now that stealing and doing criminal things is the way forward. Yes, when a goat is eaten, the children will be watching its mouth. So listen to Yahya Bello. Listen to what he described democracy, how he described democracy. The people of the world, listen to this idiot.
You, the new assembly member, let me tell you, I'm not afraid to say that. This democracy, look at the way they describe our view. I'll tell you, it's not the way they describe our. Somebody recommended you.
Yeah, he's telling them that democracy is not actually the way.
If they allow them like that, you will not imagine.
You see. So democracy must not work.
This is the practical. Tomorrow somebody will tell you, why are you there? Are you a stooge? You are an assembly member. Exact your position.
Yeah, this is what happens in Nigeria. This is what happens in Nigeria. The people are not free to express themselves.
You are a legislature. The executive is turning you like this. They turn you left, you go left. They turn you right, you go right. Assembly don't be like that. Don't be like that too. Ever since I emerged as governor of the state, till I left, and after stabilizing the assembly, did you hear the quarrel in the assembly? No, not at all.
Stabilizing them means corrupted them.
There's none. And there shall be none throughout our reign. When I say our reign, after me, Ododo is there. After Ododo, another person is coming from inside. From inside, though.
From inside. So they have a clique. Yes. You see the foolish people of Nigeria clapping for him. Yes. You see it here now, the song, you are a leader. That's what happens in Nigeria. How can Nigeria move forward with this? He's a leader. A criminal is a leader. Wow. Wow.
Cooperate with the Speaker, other members of the House of Assembly of Kogi State, and be part of those that will support Governor Ahmed Usman Ododo. I get my point. In everything that comes to the Assembly, everything.
Good or bad, pass it.
Even if you don't understand, call your brother here. Call him. Say, they hear something like this, which is the way.
Wow.
Whatever he tells you, follow.
Whatever he tells you, follow. That's the democracy in Nigeria. It's not a democracy driven by freedom of thought. Yes. Hey, Zakian, how are you? Good to see you here. Yes. Follow it to the letter.
You know our culture. It's served under me. Who is another assembly member? You know our culture. Very well. You serve under me. Who is another assembly member here that serves? You serve under me currently. Before I left, and currently serving. You know our culture. People that tell them well.
They have a culture. Insiders culture. That's why Nigeria is stuck. Yeah.
You see this? Some people are outside now. They just they hear. They hear. They're not here. They just say, why it was making them happy and they're clapping? They wish to be inside here now.
You see?
It's better to be inside here. And we're looking for the
Wow.
It's better to be inside and be doing that than to be outside. And as they say, we didn't hear. If we make too much noise here now,
That's right. Criminals rule Nigeria. Criminals are in charge of everything. I wonder, most of the people who were listening to Malema listen because the lawyers have their own problems. The lawyers are the ones who will connive with the prosecutors, some of the lawyers, not all, to destroy evidence. Some lawyers connive with opposing lawyers and judges to continue the culture of adjourning cases. So the more they adjourn the cases, the more they make money from their client. They milk the clients dry. So the corruption in Nigeria is very sophisticated. Well, I hope they took something away from what Malema spoke. A country cannot grow the way Nigeria is. Yes. The country, Nigeria, cannot grow the way it is going. Yes. All right. I am still looking for more demons that are holding Nigeria down. Why should the people who celebrate evil men or keep quiet when evil men are being celebrated for hurting their country or hurting their humanity not perish? That is why Nigeria is perishing. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the worst disaster that has ever happened to Nigeria. I'm still looking. I have some demons that I need to read out to listeners about why Nigeria is stuck. Yes, quite frankly, I think we should stop patronizing the traditional institution. Is another demon in Nigeria. Yes, because the drivers are so corrupt. The institution has outlived its usefulness. It's one of the most corrupt institutions in Nigeria. Yes. All right, because of these demons, that was why I started ONN. Because the mainstream media will not entertain me to express myself, to speak openly and frankly to the people of Nigeria. Because the media in Nigeria is part of the demons. It's one of the demons holding Nigeria down. They are part of what represses and mislead our people through giving them false information or half information. I started my own media organization because the Nigerian mainstream media has been bought and gagged by the fake government of Nigeria, which is their biggest customer, that they must protect and defend against the truth and dissenting voices so that the people will remain in the shackles of poverty, ignorance, and fear. Yes, that is why you want to fight Babylon, you got to have your own media. If you don't have your media, nobody is going to hear you. And this is the reason why I invite all those who are listening. I invite Nigerians, I invite Africans, I invite the people of the world, to join us in this movement called ONN. The ONN is a big movement, growing movement. We are growing organically. Every minute we are growing. Why are we growing? We are growing with the real people who come here to listen, people who come here to contribute to our debate, people who see and share it so that YouTube will continue to recommend us to the people, and more subscribers will come in. We don't buy subscribers because we are building a long-lasting organic movement that is going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger to take our message, our global message, to all corners of the earth. So this is the reason why I am appealing. Yes, support us the best way you can. We thank those who send us super thanks, who buy super thanks for us to help us advance our message and then reach more people, and support those who are in dire need, especially in Africa, with specifics in Nigeria. But we are growing and growing, and we grow bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's why we continue to solicit for your support, general support. Anything you can do to help us advance and get bigger and bigger, we will appreciate it. To our returning subscribers and those who join our membership, we thank you. Don't give up. Keep on supporting as we keep on moving. I am not corrupt. All my life, I've never collected bribes from anybody for any reason, and I don't pay anybody a bribe to get him or her to do anything for me or get undue advantage over others, because I know the meaning of corruption and what it does to people and countries and their foundational moral fabric. However, that does not mean that I am not without blemish or I'm perfect, but I'm certain that I'm not a thief and that I don't on purpose violate the rights of others or treat anybody or group of persons the way I would not love to be treated. Yes, this is what guides me and guides the Open Nigeria Movement, the ONN. Yes, so if you're on Facebook listening to us, join us at the Open Nigeria Movement, because we need a movement, an organized infrastructure to take down the Nigerian system that has hurt all of us. Everybody has been hurt by the Nigerian system. So I recommend, yes, that you join us, like others have done so. And if you're here today before you leave, please subscribe. A lot of things are happening in Nigeria. So many things are wrong with Nigeria. And because things are wrong with Nigeria, Africa is stalling because Nigeria is not moving. Africa is stalling because Nigeria is not moving. And Africa will remain static unless Nigeria moves. And this is the reason why Nigerians must rise up and stop all this crap about a coalition. Politicians will not solve the problems of Nigeria as it stands today, because they don't have the moral platform to stand on to advance a cause for the liberation of a country that they destroyed. They can't, and they will not. So any person banking on politicians, this class of politicians, to do anything for Nigeria, you are joking. They cannot do anything. They are destroyers. They are the caterpillars and the canker worms that we must get rid of. Yes, that's what I said. The people of Nigeria must be prepared to take their country. You see, how can a country be overrun by ragtag terrorists? Yeah, they come Fulani bandits and they're Boko Haram. Yes, we have an army that is not doing anything. We have an armed forces that is not doing anything. So whose interest do they serve? And they are taking villages one after the other. So what time are we going to fight back? That was why it was interesting to see Saad, one of the masterminds of terrorism, sitting right in front of Julius Malema, listening to his message of liberation. Well, I hope that man I don't know he has no conscience, because he's not going to have conscience to do right. Yeah, but the people of Nigeria, we have a moral duty to take our country. It is now or never. And we must not apologize to anybody for doing what is right for our country. The country is for us and not for anybody. And if we don't take it, well, the next generation, the Almighty God, will not forgive us. Unborn generations of Nigerians who will come after us to live in a country that will be held right on day one for them will not forgive us. So we must do something preemptively now to end this madness raging in Nigeria, so we can join the rest of Africa to build a new continent with one government, one economy, one reserve bank, one parliament, one military. Yes, to end all this. If we have this put together, yes, absolutely, 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 Africa will be set free, and the black man will regain his dignity. It is in our hands. Let us treat ourselves well, like Julius Malema suggested. We must start loving ourselves. Yes, the hate we have for ourselves was engineered and has continually been engineered by somebody else, some people else, who want to continue to exploit our people for their own benefit and the benefit of their various countries. Yes, we cannot be the richest continent, and yet we are the poorest. Yes, this is what we must learn now, that colonizers, yes, the Arabs came first, 700 years of slavery. Then later the Europeans came, 400 years of creating our people across the Atlantic, where they were subjugated and made to work like jacks without pay. Yes, the Arabs enslaved Africans for 700 years, castrating all the male slaves. And when they got enough, they left us with their religion, which required that we must communicate with God in their tongue or in their language. As soon as that finished, the Europeans moved in, and for the next 400 years, they took millions of Africans across the Atlantic to various destinations in Europe, and mostly the United States, where they were treated as beasts of burden in plantations across the country and the Caribbean. Yes, when they decided that the transatlantic slavery was over because of the cost that they had to incur transporting our people, they decided to come together in Berlin in 1884 and 1885 under the criminal leadership of Chancellor Bismarck of Germany. Yes, where they reached a consensus to balkanize Africa into their various spheres of influence that were to become countries later to kick off another round of slavery called colonialism, this time on the soil of Africa, deploying the Bible like the Arabs deployed the Quran earlier, and brainwashed education as weapons to continue to control and drive the people like industrial forklifts. Yes. Now, this was how these two groups took charge of Africa and its destiny through hijacking the minds of the people. Some of us who, as leaders of various countries, yes, various African countries, have generationally driven the destiny of Africa and Africans to extinction, with the continent remaining a battleground for the war between these two slavish and colonizing civilizations, driven purely by economics, fueled by the hypocrisy of religion and gods that they never believed in, beyond being used as weapons of repression, oppression, and pillaging and plundering African mineral and natural resources. Yes, Africa as it stands today is a laboratory where so many dangerous experiments are being carried out with the African people as guinea pigs. Yes, the only thing that will save Africa is for Africa to return to the vision of Marcus Mosiah Garvey, Emperor Haile Selassie, Kwame Nkrumah, and others to unite and build one United States of Africa without borders and with one government, one economy, one reserve bank, and one military. Time is running out. Yes, and this is why we must utilize this minute right now. And Malema just reinforced the vision of our founding fathers. Young Africa, yes, male and female, old and young. What are we doing? Isn't it time we stood up? This is the reason. Because the mainstream media don't want to hear this type of views, these variant views, these Pan-African views. That's why they work for the oppressors. They work for the imbecile who kill our people, who destroy our people, who exploit our people. Yes, as stooges of foreign powers. Now Africa is down. So this is why. Welcome to ONN. Join us to grow and progress. Join us to be the voice the alternative to the mainstream media. Yes, fearless we are. We speak the truth to power and damn the consequences. And we wake up our people that as many as, the more our people wake up, they get more conscious. We're able to push the Nigerian system and break it down. We're able to come together as African people, unite, and end all the xenophobic feelings that we see in South Africa, that is now growing in Ghana, growing in Kenya, and other places against brotherly and sisterly African people. We are one people, divided by the toxin of imperial masters, and aided, fueled by our own people who are their enforcers on the continent of Africa. Again, we must, as a matter of urgency, yes, do whatever we can to remove all the fake leaders in Africa, to join and then bring about new leaders who will join hands with Malema, me, Patrick Lumumba, the young man in Burkina Faso, Abraham Traore, General Tiani, yes, the young man in Mali. We need more Africans. We need more revolutionaries on the African continent. What is happening in Congo will make you cry. Yes, what's happening in Congo will make you cry. A country that is supposed to have the African Union. We don't see African Union to do anything because African Union is a broke union. African Union is a corrupt union with no focus, with no message, with no vision. We need a brand new African Union. Yes, we need a brand new African Union. All right, hey, Andre Unknown, how are you? You say Bob Marley forever. Absolutely, thank you very much. Well, join us on Friday. On Friday, we hold the reggae night. Yeah, reggae at his bed at ONN. I believe you have been there before. So join us there. You from Ukraine. All right. How is what's going on in Ukraine? I hope the war is coming to an end in Ukraine. Yes. So let's end the war everywhere on earth, so the people of the earth can live in peace. We are one people. We should love one another. The corporations who want to make money off of us are those ones who create the wars. They sell their ammunition. They don't care who dies. Yes. Thank you. Matt Brooks, big up. Good to see you. Andre said, I like ganja. Wow, me too. I like ganja too. All right, how much have you had? Great. So, it is good for all of us, everywhere we are on earth, to be the advocates of peace through justice. Peace through justice. Peace through justice. So I am celebrating ONN, and it's one of the best decisions I've made. I am an activist. Yes, I struggled over the years. For you to get access to the Nigerian mainstream media, you have to pay them money. They love money, want to be bribed. You have to pay money to express yourselves. They don't report news the way news is reported in other parts of the world. If you have a news, you have to sell your news. You have to pay them money to report your news. They will sit down at home and concoct lies and then give it to the people of Nigeria as news. The only news they report is government news, because government is their biggest customer. So they don't want to they don't want to make them uncomfortable by beaming the voice of dissent, those who are in disagreement with the fraud government has become in Nigeria. So those are the kind of people you see. And that is why Nigeria is not moving forward. So you see the demons I've named, the traditional institution, the legislature, the judiciary, the police, the armed forces, everything messed up. Yes, that is why the country is the way it is. Jamil Waid, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you very much. And I wish to solicit your support here. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do so. And also click the notification button so that when next we come by, you'll be the first to be notified about our next broadcast. And we look forward to always seeing you. Stay with us. We thank all those who have been steadfast and loyal with us. We thank you for your loyalty. And those who support us by buying super tanks to support us to expand our work, we appreciate you. While asking also for those who have means of doing so to do whatever they can to help us expand this message and then help us grow bigger and bigger and bigger until we become that force, yes, that the world will hear about. We thank you for all that you have done so far, from 250 to where we are, nearly 5,000 today. It is unbelievable. Without you, it would never have been possible. So we are very, very appreciative, and that is why we are celebrating ONN today. Yeah, great advancement. And you are the heroes. You are the ones who made it happen. Thank you. We appreciate you. So ONN is an alternative media. So it doesn't matter which country you come from. We talk about global issues. We talk about African issues. We talk about issues affecting the whole world, wherever they happen. So make ONN your home. Make it your destination. Every time you want to hear updates about Africa, Nigeria, and the United States, and around the world, you hear. And then feel free to bring about the information from your own countries. And if you want to show up, you want to be seen on live with us, yes, indicate your intentions. And if there's anything big story that you want us to talk about from your home country, feel free. We do not discriminate on the basis of skin color or your country of origin and all that. We don't have time. We have no hate, mischief, jealousy, bigotry, and hypocrisy. We don't care. We believe, we love the people of the world. So that is why we want you to be part of the family, the ONN movement, the ONN family, great family that is growing. People from across the world are part of it. So don't be left out. So if you have not subscribed before, please do so now before we end this stream. We have been here since how many? 1, 2, 3, 87 minutes. Yes, it's 3:47 a.m., nearly 4 a.m. Central Standard Time here. Much love. I love you guys and look forward to seeing you again, hopefully in our next stream that is coming up soon. Bye for now, and thank you for your patronage. And I'm happy that we are able to, express ourselves today and listen to one another. Bye for now.